Knowing the worth and articulating it is not a problem. The problem is sticking to what you say are your standards. And I'm saying this because have you ever been, okay, in most cases where intanga zakutshela ukuthi la kulungile, you know, and to translate for people who do not understand Sizulu is basically having to approach someone that is out of your league. So when a lot of gentlemen get that, they're not even discouraged. They're even more propelled to want to go and try their luck with the lady. And they do that because they know that articulating is not a problem, but implementation of what you say are your standards. As a result of you knowing your worth, it's very difficult for you to stick to them. Which is why you find a lot of people knowing their worth on Instagram and on Facebook, you know, and on Twitter, on social media, articulate their worth very well. But when it comes to their reality and their relationships and all of it, you'll be very surprised. Like people are settling and compromising for things that they go on social media to advocate against. And you're like, how? You know? And because gentlemen know that, and this is me talking in the context of heterosexual relationships, all right? So because gentlemen know Uguti, no, ladies articulate very well, but when it comes to implementation, they won't do it. They're even propelled to pursue you. As a result, you find some couples that are, they raise your eyebrows. Uguti, how? When you are so very traditional, how do you end up with a Karabo dynamite that is so open-minded and modern about things? You know, you are so patriarchal, but here you are with a feminist. What's the line? You know, and when that happens, often people are bending. One of them is bending there. No one is a patriarchy, no one is a patriarchal person as they are outside, or the other having to be a feminist as they are outside. One of them is not being true to themselves, you know? And sometimes for us ladies, it's because okay, we get ourselves in those situations because it's not every day, you know, where Mandla would come or Sipo would come to say, Nyaktanda, and I want us to pursue something. You know, I want us to try this thing out. It's not every day. It's not being every day. Then, therefore, the one mandlanyana that comes and shows interest, standards out of the window, you know, boundaries out of the window. And that is because you find yourself in a position where now you are tolerating this person, and then you do know that ordinarily or ideally you would want to be with a much more open-minded person. You would want to be with a much more free-spirited person, someone who is not so self-centered, you know. But because the implementation of things that make you stick to knowing your worth is very difficult, it's not as easy as saying it. And I'm saying this because you'd find ladies leave relationships for reasons that are very sound, you know, very like, yeah, it's valid reasons. But then go on to the next relationship to tolerate things that they left the other relationship for. And sometimes the leaving part is not up to the lady. So sometimes you get dumped, you know, and you know, after getting dumped, there's that edge to be successful within 3 working days, you know, to be emotionally intelligent within 2 hours. And it happens. From experience, it happens. But in that, you become so confident in knowing and admitting some of the mistakes that you may have done. So you do admit that actually this guy is a bit close-minded. This guy has a problem with me wearing shorts. This guy has a problem with XYZ about me, which I don't want to have a boyfriend that would have a problem with these things, right? So you learn and you make that your standard. Which, you know, I want someone who is open-minded. You go into the next relationship, you tolerate someone who says, I want you back at 7 p.m. But again, that is a controlling body. Common denominator is control. But no, because as many people would say, you know, we want to experience things first. We tolerate such things because there are certain things that you don't have to go through in the next relationship. But the experience from the previous relationship has set you to know these things, you know, to be able to call them to order real quickly, you know, before they manifest themselves. You can sense. But no, because this time it's not Tabo, it's Ayabulela. You give Ayabulela the benefit of the doubt on things you know how the pattern ends. Ish, Nina, Tina. Because I'm not excluding myself from this, you know? I've been there as well, where you excuse certain things in one relationship only for you to tolerate them in the other. And there's no growth. As a result, you find yourself having to learn the same lesson over and over again. When are you going to learn? When are you going to learn? But also, we come in a society where people leave at the first glimpse of inconvenience. The dating scene. So people leave when things start getting hard. You know, there's the honeymoon phase where all things are just out. You know, the smooth sailing and all that. And then now reality kicks in, you know, because you need to live with this person now. Now you need to, it's beyond getting to know each other. You know the favorite color at that point. You know all these things that attracted you to this person, you know. But now they no longer make you tickle. You know, you are used to having this person. Now they're your boyfriend or your girlfriend. And now, yeah, it must get real, you know. And then when there's that, some things are not as rosy as they were in the honeymoon phase. Some people are going through things that in the honeymoon phase, they wouldn't have had the courage to tell you. Some people are going through things that they knew that had they disclosed them during the honeymoon phase, you wouldn't be here now. You know, and you can't blame them because they also have experiences that make them know better. To say, maybe in the previous relationship, this is what I articulated before we got into the relationship and it didn't graduate solely on that base. So because of that, then on this one with you, I'm not going to say XYZ or I'm not going to reveal XYZ, just so we get to a point where I feel safe enough to share with you that actually this is the real me. You know, this is no longer the idea of me. Now this is the real me. Because sometimes you fall in love with the idea of someone is or of who someone is or the idea of who someone could be. The most dangerous one. Could be means you've got potential. And sometimes people have just that potential. It never graduates. Potential never manifests. See, it's just potential. But now they're always on potential mode. You know, and because you see this potential, you give people a chance. Because potential is not reality. Potential is what could be. And could is a very important word because it doesn't mean will be. It's not guaranteed, this thing. So in a world where you have indoor must, where you have people from know your worth, and where you have people leaving at their earliest inconvenience, the dating scene becomes very tricky. You know? Because honestly, we are different people. Speaking of people leaving quite early in relationships, we are different people, right? We are not liberated the same way. We don't see things the same way. We are from different places that have influenced how we see life. So we are different individuals before we are even a couple or in a relationship, right? So that means then I will have my own views on certain things that will clash with yours. I will have my own way of doing things that may not necessarily align with yours. But if you don't give me the chance to perhaps unlearn certain things about myself, not necessarily for the relationship, but for me as a person, if you're going to leave the first time I say, I don't like this or I don't want this, then Mjolo lo sufunayo is not going to be an easy thing to attain. I want you to listen to me very carefully. I am not saying people should be naive, you know. I am not saying people, I'm not going back to my word. I'm saying, though, be educated enough be educated enough not to wait for red flag number 37 before you make a move to bounce out of the relationship. Right? And I'm saying this because we need people to recognize patterns so that you leave at red flag number 1. But don't leave without a version of you, right? And that may not be necessarily a version that you currently are, or a version of yourself that you are proud of. Because we grow as people. Sometimes you learn things, sometimes you realize at a later stage that you could have handled certain things better, you know? And sometimes what you are advocating for today may be something you are against in future. And what you are advocating against today may be something that you are actually for in future. And in future, I want us to remove the in future aspect of it as a far-fetched thing. In future can literally be in 2 hours' time. In future can be next week. In future can be next month. So there are people who will forever be committed to not understanding you. And Umendi Hale says, let go of those people. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I personally am of the view that we need to give people second chances. I'm a firm believer in second and even third chances, even fourth, but obviously within my boundaries, within what I feel the person deserves. Because some people really make sure when they do certain things, the disrespect, they make sure to a point where they eliminate the possibility of you giving them a second chance. But the reason I believe so much in second, third, and fourth chances is that the relationships that I'm currently in, a lot of the relationships that I'm currently in, are relationships where I've had to reintroduce myself so many times, several times. And for the fact that they exist, it means I was given courtesy. I was given the first chance, the second, the third, and the fourth to reintroduce myself. Right? Because yes, you can change. But if you want to be a part of someone's life after being changed, you need to show them that I've changed. Right? And if they allow you the platform to show them that you have changed, then those are your riders. Those are your people. But those that don't, those are the ones that Umendi Hale says, let go. Let go. They'll see it somewhere, somehow. Because I was told that sometimes certain tables need to feel that you are not there by seeing